Mentor has a legacy of manufacturing, as well as a track record of fostering entrepreneurial spirit. But it may surprise many to learn that this tradition dates back to the end of the Civil War. The location of the city's most prolific incubator got its start when the Hart Nut and Washer Company was incorporated on March 25, 1868, by Daniel B. Hart, a patentee of improved nuts and washers. That day, $100,000 in capital stock was offered at $50 a share. The building at the corner of Smith and Station Streets was constructed that year at a cost of $11,500, which is about $280,000 today. Their goal was to manufacture Hart's patented improved nuts and washers, as well as other items, until they ceased operations in 1879. A variety of other projects occupied the space, including a barrel factory, a flour mill, and a cider mill, until it was purchased by Cleveland-based Root McBride, who founded the Mentor Knitting Mills in 1896. The mill manufactured and sold knitted comfort underwear for men, women, and children across the United States. Now today, we like to say Mentor means business. Back then, the tagline was Mentor means comfort. The company employed as many as 150 people, mostly young women, until it was abruptly shut down in 1916. And this might be the most colorful part of this historic building's tale. At around noon on January 25th, plant manager John B. Henrian went to a sink, as was his custom, to wash his hands. Moments later, he was shot in the back below the ribs. 20 employees were in the plant, which had not been operating at full capacity for nearly a year due to a shortage of local labor. All but 2 were in the lunchroom at the time. Cashier Mason Foreman recounted hearing cries for help and rushed to the location. He found Henrian laying face down next to a knitting machine. "I don't know why anyone should want to shoot me," Henrian said repeatedly. His pockets had been turned out, and he asked Foreman to check for $40, which was now missing. Theories abounded on how the robber might have gained access without anyone's knowledge, and it was speculated to be an inside job. One company officer presented the idea that it was a disgruntled employee. A manhunt was soon underway, but since a number of trains passed right by the mill, their chances of apprehending the shooter were bleak. Several travelers were questioned, but to no avail. The story commanded the attention of newspapers across Northeast Ohio for several days. Henrian lingered until February 1st before succumbing to his wounds. A .38 revolver was later found at the scene. The serial number was intact and traced to Henrian, who had purchased it from a dealer in Erie, Pennsylvania. So, was it murder or was it suicide? It's hard to say for sure. The knitting mills were permanently closed just a few months later, and the remaining operations were moved to Root McBride's facility in Erie. On September 5th of that year, Henrian's widow filed suit in federal court against the Preferred Accident Insurance Company of New York for failing to make payment on his $5,000 life insurance policy. According to the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the reticence of Sheriff William Spink of Lake County, who investigated the shooting, as to who inflicted the wound which caused Mr. Henrian's death, left the case a mystery. That mystery evolved into local lore, as future occupants and ghost hunters claim the building remains haunted. But that's a story for another day. In 1917, Europe was embroiled in World War I, and the United States was on the verge of entering the conflict. Little did residents know that Mentor was about to play a brief role. The Lakeshore Chemical Company took possession of the building after having recently struck gas with several nearby wells. They encountered brine, an important ingredient used to make poison gas. The venture was short-lived and ceased operations a year later. It went into receivership, the building went to the auction block in 1919, and was purchased by an Akron attorney who included it as a part of a trade between real estate concerns, including several Northeast Ohio companies. In 1920, it would become the home of the Salvet Manufacturing Company, which was consolidating their Cleveland and Indiana operations right here in Mentor. Salvet manufactured animal feed products and medicines, but it's unclear how long they stayed, if the products were manufactured here, or if this was home to their printing department. A former employee cited in the Lake County Quarterly newsletter recounted this was only a branch of a larger organization, and that his job was in the printing department, which handled the company's advertising. In 1923, the Ames Bag Company occupied the building to manufacture cloth bags for salt. They received train carloads of cloth in 1,500-yard rolls, which were split, printed, and bundled for their next stop at their Cleveland branch, where they were sewn. Ames would remain there until 1938. By that time, the building was primarily used as a warehouse. That year, it would become home to the building's namesake and longest occupant, the Columbia Match Company, which manufactured matchbooks as well as equipment to make matchbooks. The company dissolved in 1971, but was quickly reformed to focus on producing matchbooks only, with an emphasis on the specialty advertising market. Production in Mentor was halted in 1985 when the company relocated to San Diego. It's worth noting that a portion of the building was also occupied by Production Machinery Corporation from 1955 until the early 70s. In the 1980s, the building was converted to office and restaurant space and was home to a number of small businesses, including a little-known startup known as Steris, which still makes its home in Mentor. Today, Steris has a valuation of $22 billion and employs over 18,000 people worldwide. For over a century and a half, the Matchworks building has stood as a testament to Mentor's entrepreneurial spirit and manufacturing legacy. From its origins as the Heart Nut and Washer Company in 1868 to its transformation into a vibrant hub of over 30 businesses, this historic structure has weathered economic shifts, tragedies, and wars, adapting to the needs of each era. The Matchworks building remains a cornerstone of Mentor's identity, where the past inspires the future. Learn more at thematchworksbuilding.com.